Nina, tell me all about Pinocchio.
Okay, so basically, you know those Build-A-Bear workshops where you can create your perfect idealized little bear buddy who will accompany you everywhere as you live your life?
Sure, I'm a very lonely person.
Well, Pinocchio is that, but with wood, and also it's a real, living, thinking, lying boy.
Like a young boy? Wait, who made him?
An old man, the kind that sits alone in his house all day, making little boys to look at.
Perfect. Please, go on.
So, Pinocchio, in the original story, he truly sucks. His dad Geppetto is the town crank, and he makes a puppet who's somehow even poopier than he is. Original flavor Pinocchio likes torturing his dad, stealing the guy's wigs, lying to people, and just generally being a complete butthead.
Ooh, I hate it when kids steal my wigs.
Luckily, a sassy cricket and a blonde with a stick tell Pinocchio that if he gets his act together and stops spewing absolute nonsense, he can finally get on that whole real boy thing, as in a human boy with wet, sticky organs that can breathe and poop and bleed and stuff.
Being a real boy is overrated. I hate breathing and pooping and bleeding so much all the time.
But until then, anytime he continues to be a lying sack of garbage, his nose grows real long.
Wait, so Disney made a movie featuring a kid who's a lying sack of
rocks?
Actually, no. In the Disney movie, Geppetto is just cripplingly lonely. So he wishes that this doll he whittled or whatever comes to life. Then that skirt with a stick shows up and she's like, "Congratulations, you're a real boy, wooden boy."
Yay! Movie over!
Except you're not. You're still made of walnut until you prove you're not an absolute jerk.
Boo, movie not over.
Yeah, this Blue Fairy has a pretty arbitrarily sadistic wish-granting system, and they really glossed over the wig-stealing antics from the original Italian story.
Oh good, otherwise I'd be worried.
Anyway, the fairy just kind of goes away and hopes for the best for a while. But it's fine, because instead of being a wooden butthead like he is in the original story, this Pinocchio is a wide-eyed baby idiot who just does whatever anyone tells him to.
Like what?
Oh, a bunch of terrible people are like, "Hey, you know what you should do? Be terrible, just like us."
That sure would convince me.
Pinocchio suffers a few behavioral pitfalls unfortunately common for little boys. He lies, he smokes fat stogies, he gets hammered.
Pinocchio gets wasted?
Yep, in a room with a bunch of small missing children.
Wow, he's just like me!
He does all of this at a place called Pleasure Island, which is more or less the Foot Clan warehouse from the Ninja Turtles movie, but without Sam Rockwell. But naturally, there are consequences for lying, smoking, and drinking. Otherwise, this wouldn't be a morality fable. It would just be that weird weekend when your stepdad watched you while your mom was out of town.
I bet Pinocchio and his troublemaking buddies got a stern talking to and maybe a timeout.
Nope, they get turned into donkeys.
Huh, that was my next guess.
It's pretty rad. I mean, you know how people uncontrollably transforming into grotesque monsters is a staple of the horror genre?
Of course.
Well, I'm pretty sure that all got started with this Disney movie, for children.
Great!
Then the kid and his dad get eaten by a whale, and then the whale spits them out, and in the process, Pinocchio becomes a real boy because, I don't know, and he lives out his days as flesh and blood in an era that will likely see him sent to die in World War I as a member of an Italian Arditi shock troop. This is what passes for a happy ending in the Disney version.
That
Freaking
blows!
Yeah, I know, the Disney version does blow. They really weren't true to the original story.
So what happens in the original story?
Well, it has Pinocchio smashing the cricket with a hammer, having his wooden feet burnt to a crisp, and being hanged by a bunch of angry villagers. All that said, this story, like the Disney version, ends with him becoming a real ding-dong toddler in overalls, one who's probably also doomed to serve in the Italian armed forces.
Sick! Is that gonna be in the new movie?
It depends on which new movie you're talking about.
There's more than one new movie about
Finding
Pinocchio?
There are two. First, there's another live-action Disney retread by the guy who brought us Dumb Guy Social Studies textbook, Time-Traveling Mom Hookup, and that tightrope walking movie that made everyone who saw it in theaters barf real hard. Second is one by the guy who made you believe a fish man can smash.
Robert Zemeckis and Guillermo del Toro?
That's right. Two of the industry's top-tier directors will take on what we can only imagine will be wildly varying visions of the story. Zemeckis presumably will echo the family-friendly tone of Disney's first attempt, while seamlessly and unnightmarishly incorporating Tom Hanks with the same deft expertise he displayed in The Polar Express. Meanwhile, Del Toro will probably just make a bunch of donkey kids who also smash.
I don't think I want to see either of these movies.
Ooh, even with Tom Hanks in a wig?
Especially with Tom Hanks in a wig.
Yeah, that's probably the right call.
Is there a reason that Hollywood keeps pouring ridiculous amounts of resources into a story that objectively really sucks?
I think it probably rhymes with schmublic schmomain and schman schmecognition.
So wait, you're saying that because the story is free to use and everyone recognizes it, they can get all kinds of famous people to work on endless remakes?
Yeah, I don't know, I guess.